invite you to settle into a comfortable place. I speak softly now. I ask for a few gentle breaths. Let the room be still. Let the bed or chair support every part of the body. Allow the hands to rest. Loosen any tightness in the neck. Feel the weight of the evening ease down into the mattress or the cushion. My voice moves like a slow lamp across a dark room. It will be a steady light for a little while. Breathe in slowly. Hold for a quiet count. Breathe out with a long, soft sigh. I guide the rhythm. Inhale, come. Exhale the day's small, sharp edges. Another breath in. Another breath out. Each breath is a small, safe harbor. Tension leaves the shoulders. The jaw uncurls. The brow softens. The feet loosen. Each breath makes a tiny space for peace. I ask the eyes to close if that feels right. If not, let them rest on a single dim point. The world outside the room recedes. Outside noises do not need to be fixed. They are part of the night. They pass like distant oars. They do not demand attention. I keep my voice steady and even. It moves with the steadiness of a slow stream. Imagine a soft light. It is not bright. It is not harsh. It is warm. It rests on the eyelids like a gentle hand. This light does not chase shadows. It simply fills the spaces between thoughts. It sits at the base of the throat. It rests at the center of the chest. It spreads like a small warmth when a cup of tea is cupped between both hands. I ask the mind to imagine a quiet garden. The garden is simple. A single lamp stands by a stone path. The lamp casts a round pool of glow. The air smells faintly of lavender and damp earth. A slow breeze moves the leaves. Each rustle is a small, soft word of reassurance. The garden belongs to no schedule. It holds no tasks. It is a place to be allowed to breathe. Listen to the rhythm of my reading. I slow my pace. Each phrase is a step. Each sentence is a careful place to land. I keep the space between words like a margin of calm. There is room to rest there. My voice does not hurry. It moves like a hand, tracing the edge of a cup. Tonight, I read from the Gospel of John. I do not read to teach or to argue. I read to bring ease. I read to remind the heart of mercy. The text offers quiet images, light, rest, the steady presence of love. These images are like a blanket you can draw up. They do not demand cleverness. They offer gentle promises. I do not list doctrines. I do not press for answers. I only point to the comfort that is already waiting. There is a simple welcome at the heart of the words. It reaches out to whatever weariness is present. It rests beside the small pains you carry. I let these few moments become a soft harbor. Bring attention to the hands. Feel them rest. Notice any small tremor. Name it gently in your mind and let it be. There is no need to fix it. The breath moves through without judgment. Allow the breath to travel down the spine. Let it pool at the belly. Each exhale sends away a little more strain. The body grows heavier in the best way. Heaviness here means safety. Heaviness means release. I describe a quiet room inside the chest. It has a low bench and an open window. Through the window, a steady star shines. It is not far. It is not blazing. It is a near and calm light. The star waits. It does not scold. It simply is. Picture sitting on that bench. Feel the bench supporting the weight of your thoughts. Feel the star's steady presence as a companion to the evening. If there are worries that cling like burrs, imagine them falling away one by one. They drop into the grass and dissolve. If a picture of the day repeats in your mind, let it run on past like a thin film. Do not try to chase it. Do not try to scrap it. Watch it pass. The garden is big enough to let things drift. I keep the tone gentle and safe. I use simple words. I repeat the cadence of comfort. The aim is small and clear, to ease the body and quiet the mind. Let small kindnesses wash over the day's roughness. Think of mercy as a soft cloth. Lay it over the places that ache. Press it here with a careful touch. I invite a short body scan. Start at the scalp. Notice any tightness. Let it soften. Move down to the temples. Let tension melt like frost in morning sun. The cheeks relax. The jaw opens slightly. The tongue rests. The throat loosens. Let the shoulders drop. Unclench the hands. The chest broadens a little with each in-breath. The belly rises and falls in a slow, easy tide. The legs feel heavy. The feet rest as if sinking into warm sand. Keep breathing. Keep listening. Each inhalation brings in cool, quiet air. Each exhalation lets go of noise. My voice continues to move like a calm shore. Words are sparse. Emphasis is on each quiet phrase. There is nothing to prove here. There is room to lean into rest. I speak of a near presence, not an abstract idea, but a gentle nearness. It is like someone sitting close by in the chair across the room. No speech is needed, just quiet company. The presence simply notices without hurry. It attends to the small, tired places. It is steady, like a lighthouse on a low coast. Picture water now. Still water, not deep or wild. A small pool in the garden catches the lamp's reflection. The surface is smooth like glass. The light settles on it. The pool remembers nothing of the day's noisy things. It stays calm. Each breath makes a small circle on the surface. See how the rings broaden and then fade. The water holds nothing tightly. Now think of a lamp inside. It burns without fuss. It does not consume quickly. It gives steady warmth. Picture the lamp's flame as a symbol of reassurance. It does not flicker with panic. It does not sputter with doubt. It exists in peaceful continuity. It is not a test. It is a promise of steady light for the dark hours. I offer a few short reflections from John's gentle poetry. He speaks often of closeness and light. He paints images of rest and abiding. I paraphrase without argument. Imagine a steady hand taking you by the shoulder and guiding you toward rest. Imagine the invitation to lay down burdens. Imagine hearing that you are not alone in the night. These images are simple and kind. They are not heavy with explanation. They are like soft planks laid across a river for crossing. Allow a sense of mercy to touch the edges of the day. It comes quietly. Like late rain, it does not shame. It does not demand repayment. It pours its small compassion across the map of mistakes. Where the day felt sharp, the rain smooths. Where the day felt bare, the rain quiets the ache. I do not promise a sudden answer to every question. I do promise a steadiness to rest upon. This steadiness is like a bedrock under thin soil. It is always present, even when the top layer trembles. It keeps the small house of the heart from tipping over in every wind. Now imagine a slow, familiar melody. It is not played aloud. It is a hum of contentment. Under the words I read, the melody is soft. It lingers between sentences. It makes the mind a gentle room to sleep in. The music does not call for analysis. It invites rest. If thoughts rise that bring unrest, name them gently worry, sorrow, fatigue, and let them be. They are like weather. They pass. Watch them as you would clouds. Note their shape. Notice their color. They move. They do not stay unless given a place to settle. Keep offering breath and the image of the lamp. Let the lamp hold the unsettled pieces. I speak now of hope. It arrives not as a loud trumpet, but as a quiet, steady root below soil. Hope grows slowly. It pushes through cracks. It seeks light. In the gospel scenes, hope often looks like a patient presence at a door. It does not break the lock. It stands ready to enter when the time is ripe. Take a moment to feel that patient presence at the door of your heart. It waits with no impatience, no accusation. It only stands with readiness to sit and keep company. Think of forgiveness as a soft garment. Put it over your shoulders. It does not erase the past, but it makes the weight lighter. It does not demand that mistakes be forgotten. It offers them a place to rest. The garment is not flashy. It is practical and warm. It carries the scent of evenings like this calm. Slow. Ultimately gentle. I keep the sentences short, so the mind can follow them easily. There is no rush. There is no list of tasks. There is only the slow, present movement toward peace. The voice remains a companion in the dark. It does not lecture. It does not press. It simply reads and guides. Now, with the body relaxed and the breath steady, imagine a doorway opening to a room of rest. The doorway is low and humble. Step gently through it. There is a low bed waiting. The sheets are cool. The pillow cradles without pressure. A small lamp sits on a nightstand. The light here is just enough to see the contours of the room. It allows the heart to exhale. Lay down. If you wish, feel how the bed takes your weight. Let the edges of the day drop away. Notice the difference between holding and letting go. Holding takes effort. Letting go lives in a softer place. The bed asks only that you rest. There is a promise in the humming quiet mercy for the day's errors, hope for the coming days, a steady presence for the lonely minutes. These are not ideas to be solved. They are companions to carry you through sleep. Before I begin the reading proper, place a single hand over the heart if that comforts you. Feel its slow beating. Each beat is a steady friend in the dark. Let each beat confirm that you are held. Let each beat be a small, soft assurance that you are not alone. I will read slowly. I will speak plain words. I will let pauses sit like soft cushions between sentences. When the time comes to hear the first passages, breathe and listen. Let the images settle in without trying to unpack them. Let them be like pictures on the wall of a quiet room. Now the lamp in the mind dims just a touch. The garden grows stiller. The pool holds the light like a coin of silver. The star keeps watch. I pause here. With calm breathing and steady presence. This is the doorway into what follows. When you are ready, I will begin to read the first passages from John, keeping the pace slow, the tone gentle, and the purpose singular to bring rest, mercy, and a quiet hope that carries into sleep. I open the book with emotion that feels familiar and careful. My fingers rest on the cover for a moment. The room is still. The breath in the room is slow and even. I move the pages with a soft sound. Each turn is small and deliberate. I do not hurry. The first passage I read is gentle. It speaks of a quiet home and a steady promise. The image is of a place prepared ahead of time. A hand has set a place. There is space enough. The thought itself is simple and kind. It imagines a room kept ready for rest. Let that thought settle into the chest like a small cushion. I speak the words slowly. The rhythm is steady. There are long pauses between lines. Each pause is an invitation to breathe. Inhale, exhale. With each breath, the images sink deeper. The mind is given room to receive them without work. Another passage follows. It brings a kind of peace that does not ask to be earned. The peace is not loud. It is not a solution to every problem. It rests like a soft blanket across aching places. Picture that blanket. It does not cover with heat. It covers with quiet. Allow the blanket to rest over the shoulders. Feel how the weight makes the shoulders drop a little further. A small ease comes. The text moves from a promise of room to an image of light. The light is not bright in the way of midday. It is a close and calm glow. Imagine it like a lantern set on a low table. The lantern does not demand attention. It simply gives enough to see. The light touches the edges of worry. It does not banish memory. It softens it. Let the light move across the forehead. Let it warm the space behind the eyes. I pause and let a slow inhale fill the lungs. The room listens. The slow exhale follows. There is no hurry to fill the silence. The silence is part of the reading. It holds the line like a gentle hand. Another gentle image appears. Living water. It is not a torrent. It is a steady, cooling stream. Picture standing by a small spring. The water moves quietly over smooth stones. It offers refreshment without fuss. Cup both hands and let the water pass between the fingers. Feel how coolness takes the heat away from the palms. Let that coolness move up the arms and into the chest. It is refreshment that does not need explanation. I slow the pace further. Each sentence is small. Each breath is a soft bell. The voice moves in measured steps. The goal is ease, not argument. The passages offer care. They offer a place to rest the mind when thought grows heavy. There is an image of vines and branches. The picture is simple. A branch stays near the vine and draws strength from it. The relationship is not complex. It is close and quiet. Think of the vine as a root that holds steady in wind. The branch need not scramble for support. It rests in the steadiness. Imagine feet planted on firm earth. The muscles ease. The jaw unclenches. A short pause follows the vine. In that pause, notice the rise and fall of the chest. Notice the steady pulse at the wrist. Place a soft attention there. There is a small, constant rhythm. It has accompanied every moment up to now. Allow the rhythm to reassure. Let it say quietly that the body continues in steady ways. The reading continues. The words point to simple care. They describe the one who tends the small household. The tone is one of tenderness. It speaks to the tired and to those who wake in the night. It offers an image of someone walking slowly across the room to sit near. No judgment, only presence. Imagine that presence as close as the chair beside the bed. Feel its calm. It does not speak loud. It sits and listens. I read of a shepherd who knows each footstep. The shepherd's steps are not hurried. They are careful and attentive. The image rests like a slow footfall along a familiar path. Hear the step? It is a little sound. It passes near and stays. Let the step be a companion in the dark. The passages do not aim to fix everything. They offer a steadying hand. They give language to mercy. Mercy shows up as small kindnesses. It is a quiet hand that smooths a ruffled corner. It is a breath that follows after a sigh. Name a small worry now. Give it a gentle label. Offer it the idea of mercy like a soft cloth. Lay the cloth over it. The worry does not vanish, but its edge softens. Another image moves in a door that opens. The opening is slow and deliberate. Through the doorway there is a narrow path lit by a low lamp. The path does not demand speed. It simply asks for steady feet. Imagine stepping through. The floor is warm beneath the soles. The mind relaxes with each step. The lamp casts enough light to show the way without forcing a view of everything beyond. The reading shifts tone just a little. It speaks of courage that is quiet. Courage here looks like the patient act of waking each morning and choosing small kindness again. It is not a dramatic thing. It is the simple repetition of opening the eyes and offering presence. Picture a tiled roof warmed by late sun. The roof holds the house. So small acts hold days. I keep the sentences short and plain. The aim is to let images land like pebbles in still water. Each pebble sends out soft rings. Watch the rings widen and then still. Nothing urgent must be done to make the rings stop. They fade in their own time. A passage speaks about being known. It suggests that names are not merely tags. They are the sound of recognition. Imagine someone who remembers the shape of a hand. Imagine a name spoken in a room and the corners of the mouth relaxing. Let that sense of being known settle in the shoulders. It does not erase every ache. It simply places a hand where sorrow sits. More images come rest like a harbor. Mercy like a slow rain. Hope like a root under cold ground. Each phrase is brief. Each image is tactile. The harbor has a small dock and a gentle sway. The rain is soft on a window. The root pushes quietly through soil. These pictures do not rush. They invite the mind to follow at a low pace. As I read, I let the voice pause at the end of lines. These pauses are like doorways. Step through them with breath. Let the breath be slow and generous. Notice how the body answers. The shoulders loosen. The hands unclench. The lower back gives a small, welcome release. A heaviness settles that is not fatigue alone, but safe surrender. The passages circle back to light. Light as presence. Light as guidance that does not glare. It comes close like a friend sitting in a chair. The friend does not demand a story. They sit and breathe with you. The light rests on the hands, and on the small map of the life, it touches where things are fragile. It does not pry. It simply warms. I slow even further now. The breathing becomes the rhythm of the space. There is no pushing. The reading becomes a tide. Words come in and then recede. The listener's mind floats on that tide. If a thought surfaces, lead it. Watch it move like a small boat on the water. Do not reach. Let it move toward the shore and rest. One of the later images is of a table set with simple fare. The table is not grand. It is warm and real. There is bread. There is water. There is room for a tired hand to rest on the wood. The idea is hospitality. It is a quiet offering. Imagine sitting and letting the meal take place without hurry. Allow the feeling of being invited to warm the chest. The reading now brings a promise of companioning. The promise is not a demand on performance. It is an assurance of steady company. Terms do not clutter the promise. Instead, the language is close and domestic. The comfort of a stitched blanket, the steady tick of a low clock, the coolness of a pillowcase against the cheek. These are small images, but they hold space. I pause long enough for the image to settle, long enough for breath, long enough for the body to notice its weight against the mattress or cushion, long enough for the fingers to feel the cloth beneath them. The pause is deliberate and kind. Toward the end of the section I read, the tone becomes hush. It feels like the moment when the room dims its light. The day's tasks step back. The mind is allowed to let go. Mercy is spoken of again, not as a word bannered, but as a daily kindness that arrives late and gentle. Hope is not shouted but planted. It is like a seed in soil that waits for warmth. I bring the reading to a close with small, steady sentences. The final lines in this portion return to rest. There is an invitation to lay down burdens on a bench at the room's edge. The bench does not demand things be carried away immediately. It holds them for a while. The bench is patient. Place burdens there. Notice the relief that comes from setting them down. Before I close the book, I ask for one more breath together. Breathe in slowly. Hold it as a small, safe thing. Then release. Let the release be long and unhurried. Feel the quiet that follows. It is not empty. It is full of gentle presence. I close the book with a soft motion. The sound is barely there. The lamp in the mind dims to a steady glow. The garden pictures remain, softened at the edges but present. The pool holds the light like a remembered coin. The star watches as before. I stay a moment longer. The chair and I share the room with you. There is no rush to move on. The next passage waits. It will come in time. For now, let the promise of rest keep company. Let the images of mercy, of quiet light, of a hand that prepares a place, remain like small comforts to revisit through the night. When sleep approaches, let it come as a natural thing. If wakefulness returns later, return to the images, the harbor, the lamp, the stream. Let them be a low, steady hum beneath the hours. I will come back with more words from John when the next part begins. For now, hold the small assurances. They are enough for this evening. Keep the breath slow. Keep the heart soft. Let the room be a shelter for the rest that follows. I settle the book in my lap. With a quiet motion, the room listens. Breathing is slow. The lamp in the garden of the mind glows steady. I speak now of a scene in John that moves from accusation to mercy. The scene is simple and tender. It carries a lesson about breaking the cycle of blame. I begin by setting the place. It is nearer morning. A courtyard gathers people. Their footsteps make a low, steady murmur. The crowd presses in. Some faces are hard. A woman stands at the center. Fear tightens her shoulders. Shame sits like a brittle stone in her chest. She came without hope of defense. She came under a burden. She did not know how to carry alone. Those who bring her seek certainty. They arrive with polished intent. Their hands hold stones. The stones make a small clatter when set down. The sound is thin and final. It echoes in the quiet places of the heart. They offer the law as an answer. They want a verdict that will clear their conscience. The crowd looks toward one who teaches. Expectation rests on that teacher's face. I read the story without repeating old arguments. I only give it room to breathe. The teacher bends low and writes on the ground. The bending is not hurried. It is deliberate and calm. The motion changes the rhythm in the courtyard. Eyes follow the simple stroke of the hand. The writing is a small act. It is not grand. It softens the demand for spectacle. Then the teacher speaks in a way that does not inflame. He asks that those without fault take the first step. The question is quiet. It does not shout. The challenge lands like a stone placed on calm water. Rings widen slowly. The loudness of accusation meets a softness that reframes things. The people listen in a different way. Accusers measure the weight of their own hands. One by one, the stones drop back down. One by one, the crowd thins. The feet that once pressed close now move away. The departure is not triumphant. It is a slow unburdening. Shame and accusation do not vanish instantly. They retreat like weather. The woman remains. Lighter for those who leave. Her breath lengthens. The space opens around her. The teacher looks up at the woman. He does not deliver a final blast of condemnation. Instead, he offers a direction that is both soft and firm. He says mercy without minimizing the past. The tone is steady. The message is to go and begin again, in a different way. Forgiveness does not erase the need for change. It creates a path for it. I read these scenes slowly, letting each image land. The ground, the stones, the handwriting, these are simple things. They do not demand cleverness. They slow the mind. They invite reflection. In the quiet of the night, the story becomes a practice more than an argument. It asks not for verdicts, but for a different posture. Forgiveness appears in the scene not as a word only. It appears as the empty hand. It appears as the loosened fist that once held a stone. It appears as the softening of the crowd. In that softness, healing begins. The woman moves toward a new rhythm. The air around her warms like an early sun. I invite a small exercise with that image. Picture the stones you keep. They might be old resentments. They might be recent slights. Each thought of them feels heavy in the pocket. Imagine reaching into the pocket and setting one stone on the ground. Feel the small, surprising lightness when a single weight is set down. Breathe. Set another stone down. Notice how breath comes a little deeper with each release. Forgiveness in this story calls for a different kind of courage. It asks that eyes look inward as well as outward. To name one's own hardness takes steadiness. It does not make one weak. It makes one real. The scene shows that those who point fingers often carry similar wounds. The light falls on both accusation and need. Mercy touches each place with the same hand. I do not speak to erase responsibility. Change is needed, but grace comes first. It arrives as permission to move. It arrives as a clearing of the field where new steps can be taken. Forgiveness gives the woman room to stand up straight again. It gives the crowd a mirror in which to see themselves. Now, imagine a small bench by the garden path. On this bench, place the stones of judgment you hold toward others. Lay them carefully, one at a time. Notice the shape of each stone. Name it for a breath. It might be a remembered insult. It might be a habit of anger. Place it with hands that tremble slightly, and then relax. There is no need to force the stones away. They need only be set down, with the stones on the bench. Sit down and feel how the weight shifts. The shoulders lower, the jaw loosens, the body responds to less load. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting in a harsh way. It means choosing a new architecture of the heart, choosing safety over scorekeeping, choosing mercy instead of victory. Sometimes forgiving another also means forgiving oneself. In the story, the woman receives a new path to walk. She had been judged and was now told to begin again. This tells us that divine mercy does not sweep the past under the rug. It clears a place where the past can rest without lodging a hurt forever. The act of receiving mercy invites a person to practice gentleness inwardly. I offer a simple breath practice for that inward gentleness. Breathe in a slow count. Hold for a soft moment. Breathe out longer. As the breath goes out, imagine a quiet hand smoothing where shame sits. Each exhale takes away a little of the heat. Each inhale brings in cool steadiness. The rhythm calms the body and clarifies intent. The story also teaches about community. Those who stood ready to throw stones were doing it together. Their consensus carried force. Yet when one step back occurred, others followed. Mercy diffuses a mob's energy. A single act of restraint can change the tone of a whole room. Imagine the power of one person lowering a hand. Imagine how that motion lightens the air. We practice that lowering here tonight. Picture a small circle of people lighting candles. One candle goes out. The next person pauses before breathless judgment. The pause grows. The light steadies. Choose to be the pause. Choose the small act of leaving the stone where it is and walking away from the space of accusation. Forgiveness also carries practical quietness. It does not need to be announced. A fresh start often takes place with small choices. Speak less. Sit more. Offer a kind gesture without explanation. A bowl of water left at a doorway speaks of care. A note tucked under a pillow can hold more than 1,000 speeches. The story shows how mercy is lived in small domestic ways rather than public spectacle. There will be nights when forgiveness feels impossible. Old hurts can return with a new face. In those moments, return to the image of the teacher writing in the dust. The act is small. It is private. It holds an openness to reframe things. Let that image be a gentle instruction when faced with the urge to accuse. Pause. Bend low. Let the hand move. The motion softens the need to be right. Mercy asks for patience. Change does not come in one breath. It comes in a series of small, steady breaths. The woman in the story walked away into a life that needed mending. She did not become whole in the courtyard. Healing takes place over time. Be willing to give time to others and to oneself. Time with a steady presence is a friend to growth. Hold this next image for a while. Picture a stream that runs beside a path. Stones once thrown into the stream sink and make small rings. The rings spread and fade. The stream keeps flowing. Forgiveness is like dropping a stone into that stream and then choosing not to throw another. The momentum of the water continues its course. The choice is not always easy, but it is repeated. With each repeat, the current becomes smoother. As I read, a kid invitation follows. If there is a face that comes to mind, someone who caused pain, picture taking one small step toward release. It may be only in the mind at first. Offer one small gesture of letting go. Do not expect a grand resolution. Expect instead a softened memory. Expect breath to return more evenly. The life of mercy is a rhythm more than a single act. It becomes the way the heart learns to move. One settles the stone down. One breathes. One waits. Then another stone is set down. Over months, the bench holds fewer burdens. Space grows on the path. Light falls differently. I bring the story back to the room. The garden lamp is dim. The pool keeps the image steady. The book rests in the lap. The lesson of the morning courtyard has done its work. It taught that mercy can replace a pile of stones. It taught that restraint is a kind of strength. It taught that forgiveness opens the way for a new beginning. Before closing the pages, invite a brief moment of quiet. Place one hand over the heart. If that comforts, feel its steady movement. Let each beat name a gentle assurance that new chances are possible. The heart keeps time whether the world shouts or whispers. Now, picture leaving the stones on the bench and stepping on toward a low door. The door opens onto a soft room. Inside, there is room for both mistakes and mending. The air is cool. A cloth hangs ready to dry tears. A small lamp burns without needing to prove itself. Mercy lives there as a domestic fact. It is ordinary and true. When sleep draws near, carry the scene into rest. Let forgiveness be as natural as the breath. Let it come quietly, like a hand laid on the shoulder. Do not force it. Do not measure it by dramatic signs. Trust the slow and ordinary work of grace. I close the book with a sound like a soft page turned. The image lingers a hand, writing in the dust. A woman left standing without stones hurled at her. A path opened by a simple, steady mercy. Keep those pictures at the edge of the night. Rest now. Breathe slow and even. Let the day's sharpness soften. Let the lamp of mercy warm the corner of the mind. Tomorrow offers fresh moments to practice gentle patience and small kindness. Sleep in the assurance that mercy moves through the quiet hours and will meet you again when the morning comes. I settle into the quiet with you. My voice stays low. The room breathes slowly. The lamp in the garden of the mind keeps its steady glow. I open the passage in John with the same careful motion I used before. I do not read to argue. I read to let a gentle truth rest in the chest. The passage I hold speaks of presence. It says that what was near has become near in a new way. It does not dress itself in grand words here. It simply says that God draws a human life close. The image is soft and immediate. Imagine light stepping into a small room. The light sits on the table. It does not demand the center. It warms the wood. It warms a single cup. Presence like that changes the tone of the whole house. I slow my pace so that each phrase lands. The idea of fullness appears. Fullness is not a crowd. It is a filled vase on a quiet windowsill. It is a lamp that will not gutter in the wind. From that fullness, there is a steady giving. The text suggests that grace is not given by measure once and then finished. It comes in a steady flow. Picture a small pitcher that keeps filling a cup. Each time the cup feels lighter and more able to hold. Grace and truth sit together in the scene. They arrive as companions. Truth gives a sure place to stand. Grace gives a soft place to land. Think of walking on a narrow path at night. The truth is the plank that holds steady beneath the feet. The grace is the hand that steadies the shoulder. Both are needed for the gentle progress of the night. I invite a simple image. Imagine a table set in the dim room. Bread rests on a plate. A cup waits. No fanfare appears. The table is prepared with care. Grace, in the text, looks like that table. It meets ordinary hunger. It does not require a list of qualifications. It stands ready. The passage speaks of seeing and receiving. Seeing here is not only with the eyes. It is with the soft attention that notices a lifted hand or a small shiver. Receiving is not a checklist. It is an act of accepting a kindness in the listening quiet. Imagine leaning forward and letting a warm cup touch the lips. Let that small warmth move down the throat. It settles in the chest. That settling is a form of receiving. I speak in short sentences, so the mind can follow without strain. Each sentence is a small step. Each image is a small harbor. The rhythm slows thought. Breath finds a longer arc. With each inhale, imagine drawing in a small gift. With each exhale, imagine the gift resting where it belongs. Grace, as the passage suggests, does not always look like dramatic rescue. Often it looks domestic. It looks like someone pouring water into a basin. It looks like a hand that smooths a bedsheet. It looks like a presence who does not ask for explanation. These are not small things for a tired heart. They are generous and plain. The notion of from his fullness we have all received moves me to a quiet exercise. Picture a small spring hidden beneath a rock. The spring runs clear and steady. There is no need to ration it. Come and cup water in both hands. Drink. Let the water cool the tongue. Take another sip. The cup refills. The motion is simple and repetitive. It is restful in its repetition. That is the sense of grace supply that does not run dry. Truth holds a different shape. It is not harsh. It is solid. It becomes a path that does not wobble. Imagine a stone walkway in a garden. Each stone is placed with care. When the night air is damp, the footing stays reliable. Truth in the passage acts like that walkway. It leads without forcing you to sprint. It points the next step without shouting. When grace and truth meet, the result is gentle courage. Courage here is not loud heroism. It is the quiet choice to try again. It is the small morning habit of waking and choosing to be kind. Picture a person rising from sleep and smoothing a pillow for someone else. The act is small. The pattern is steady. Over team. The pattern shapes a life. The idea of incarnation, God taking a human life, offers tender images. It means that the divine does not remain distant. It sits at the same table. It soaks a towel. It listens to small stories. The language is humble. This nearness makes mercy practical. Mercy does not stay a word on a page. It becomes a hand that ties shoelaces. It becomes the someone who waits quietly at a door. I ask you now to breathe with a particular attention. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold for a soft 2. Breathe out long for 6. As you breathe in, picture receiving a small, warm light into the chest. As you breathe out, picture the light settling like a blanket. Let this movement be gentle. There is no rushing. From the fullness comes more than relief. It brings clarity. Clarity is not a sudden fix. It is the slow lifting of fog. Imagine waking in a room to find the window open, just enough for a breeze. The breeze lifts a curtain. The sun reveals the dust like a map. You can see where paths cross and where cushions sit. That light makes care easier. The passage suggests a similar clarity. When grace is present, I do not speak of complicated doctrine. I describe what grace feels like. It feels like being noticed. It feels like a name called softly in a crowded room. Imagine a gentle voice recalling a name. The shoulders ease. The face relaxes. Recognition is a small miracle in itself. It is a sign that presence is personal and not merely abstract. The passage also contrasts an earlier law with this present grace and truth. The contrast is not a quarrel. It is more like the difference between winter and spring. Law can be like frost that preserves shape. Grace and truth arrive like thaw and green. They do not deny the winter that was. They bring new life into the open places. Think of a gardener who knows both the winter soil and the tender shoot. The gardener works with both realities. Now imagine a garden bench again. This bench has room for the quiet. Sit there for a moment. Place your hands on your knees. Feel each finger. Feel the pulse under the wrist. Let the bench remind you that a place is kept. There is a reserved spot of rest. That reserved spot is part of the generosity suggested by the text. Receiving grace changes the rhythm of how we relate to others. When a heart receives steady kindness, it can afford to give it. The motion is like a well that fills and then waters a vine. The vine grows and reaches across a fence. Small acts of grace spread in ways words cannot measure. Pass it on in tiny gestures. A cup offered, a light left burning, a chair pulled up. These are the quiet trades of grace. I read these ideas slowly. I allow pauses long enough to breathe. During the pause, feel how stillness itself is part of the gift. Silence carries the same quality as presence. It requires no proof. It simply exists. That existence is comforting. It is a kind of truth made audible. Grace is patient. It waits at the bedside without press. It does not demand a perfect confession. It receives as you are. Imagine a hand that brushes the hair back from a tired forehead. No words are needed. The action is enough. In that staying, healing begins. Small repair can occur overnight. There is also a deep simplicity to the phrase grace and truth. It pairs warmth and steadiness. Let that pairing become a posture you try on the next time worry sits heavy. Hold truth as the steady floor. Wrap grace around the edges. Walk gently. The steps may be slow, but they will be steady. I suggest another short exercise for the hour. Place one palm over the heart. Feel the warmth of the hand. Breathe in and imagine a gentle light pouring from above into the palm and down into the chest. Breathe out and imagine that light expanding, covering a small ache or a tight thought. Do this for 3 rounds. Each round softens a particular tension. Each round returns the body to a more even rhythm. As the night deepens, picture the fullness like a lantern in a window. From that lantern, smaller lights take their glow. A house across the street sees it and relaxes. A distant walker notices the glow and finds a safer path. Grace works like that. Its source remains abundant. Its effects are quiet, but wide. I return the book to my lap and rest my hand over the cover. The words hold their gentle weight. They ask nothing dramatic of the listener. They invite a slow turning toward mercy and toward simple truth. There is no hurry. There is only the steady offering. Before I close this part, I place a single image in the mind. See a cup brimming at night. The cup spills a little when nudged, but the brim keeps offering. That spill waters a small saucer. The saucer feeds a plant. The plant continues to hold its green. Let the scene remind you that small supply can be enough for tonight. Take one more long breath with me. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Let the breath be the seam that stitches thought to rest. Let grace be the thread. I will come back in the next part. We will continue slowly, following the same path. For now, let the quiet of presence and the soft assurance of grace keep you. The lamp in the garden dims only a little. The pool holds the light. The bench is waiting. Rest into the knowledge that you are seen and gently given room to be. I settle the book on my knee and let my voice slow down even more. The room is quiet. The lamp in the garden of the mind glows faint and steady. Breath moves in easy rhythms. This part speaks of peace. It comes from a passage that offers a gentle promise. The promise is not of a life without trouble. It is of a peace that rests inside the trouble. Hear the idea simply. Peace arrives as a gift. It is not bought with striving. It is not earned by learning the right words. It is offered. The offering feels like a hand reaching through the dark. It comes close and lays a small lamp beside the bed. The lamp does not make the night bright. It simply gives enough light to see the next step. Imagine a harbor at dusk. Boats drift slowly. They do not fight the tide. Anchors hold them in a soft, firm way. The sea may move. The wind may turn. Yet these boats are steadied by what is below. Peace is like that anchor. It does not remove the wind. It keeps the small craft from wandering helplessly. In this picture, the anchor is a quiet assurance, not a magic that erases waves. The passage I read speaks of peace in a personal tone. It names the peace as a gift placed into life. It contrasts with the kind of peace people often seek. Worldly peace depends on circumstances. It depends on agreement, success, or control. That peace can slip away when noise returns. The other peace comes into the inner places and stays. It does not depend on tidy outcomes. Sit with that difference for a moment. Draw a breath that is slow and deliberate. Breathe in for a soft count of 4. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 6. Repeat. Let the in-breath gather a small light. Let the out-breath, let that light settle into the chest like a coin placed carefully on a table. The rhythm is steady. Keep it gentle. There is no hurry. This peace touches the heart where it is tender. It does not lecture about failure. It does not tally lists. It rests beside the small broken places and holds a calm. Simple présence. Picture a hand that smooths a rumpled blanket. The action is small. It makes the bed kinder to lie upon. So the peace tends what is frayed without making much noise. When fear or worry sits heavy, picture a rope tied to a post. One end of the rope is in your hand. The other end disappears down into a deep place. The rope keeps you from being swept off by an unexpected current. You do not have to hold it tightly. Allow the arm to relax. The rope is steady. That steadiness is the given peace. It is not the removal of the current. It is the presence of secure holding. I describe the peace as a presence, not a concept. Presence is tangible. It feels like a familiar voice at the other side of a door. It moves close enough to make the chest breathe easier. It offers belonging. When belonging rests in the room, loneliness softens its edges. The sense of being held opens the hands of the body to let go of small clenches. Think now of a small bell in a quiet room. The bell rings once, and then becomes part of the silence. The sound is not grand, it is precise. It marks the moment. This piece marks the moment of arrival. It says that help is near. It claims no loudness. It simply lets the heart know that it is seen and not alone. There is a clear invitation here. Receive the peace by noticing what steadies you. Place a palm over the breastbone. Feel the rise and fall. Let each beat be a soft reminder that the body continues in its work. That continuity is a kind of peace. It is a rhythm that keeps time while events change. Trust that rhythm for a breath. Let it speak quiet assurance. Peace comes with a promise of not being abandoned. It promises a company for the sleepless hours. It does not promise a sudden fix. It offers a companion for the long, slow healing. Imagine someone sitting nearby in a chair. They do not press with questions. They do not offer quick solutions. They sit with a steady light. Their presence itself is a comfort. This peace also reshapes the way we see the day. When a small chaos arrives, it no longer feels like a cliff to be climbed alone. It becomes a moment to hand over gently. Picture taking a small stone from the pocket of worry and placing it on a low table. The movement is deliberate. It is the choice to set something down. The setting down is peace enacted. It is a small habit, and habits change how the heart carries things. Let the breath practice continue. Breathe in slowly for 4. Hold for a single quiet beat. Breathe out long for 7. With each out-breath, imagine an edge of anxiety peeling away like film from glass. See it lift. Watch it float off. Do not chase it. Do not push it away. Let it drift. The space left is not empty. It contains the calm that the gift brings. Worldly peace often means quiet on the surface. It can hide unease beneath. The peace offered here works differently. It settles below the surface. It touches the bones of the days. It makes a foundation that weather cannot easily shift. Picture a tree with roots sunk into deep soil. Storms bend the branches, but the trunk stands. The roots hold. The peace given in the passage is like those roots. It is not flashy. It is profound. In the quiet, thoughts will still arrive. That is normal. This peace does not require thoughts to stop. It asks only for a small adjustment in how they are met. When a worry passes through, imagine guiding it into a wide hallway where it can move without knocking over treasured items. Give it space, but do not let it crowd the small room of the heart. Name it softly and let the breath carry it forward. There is also a grace here for those who fear being judged in the dark. Many people carry a small ledger of wrong things. This peace gently closes the ledger for a while. It does not deny the pages exist. It simply says that tonight the account can rest. The resting helps the mind and the body. It is not avoidance. It is a permission to sleep with lighter shoulders. Peace changes vision. It makes the edges of things less sharp. It softens the harsh light of replayed mistakes. The memory remains, but it no longer glows at full intensity. Imagine looking at a painting under bright sunlight. Now imagine dimming a lamp so the painting is easy to view without glare. That change is restful. It allows the eye to rest, so the offered peace moderates the glare of replayed moments. There is a small practice I offer now. Picture a narrow path beside a gentle river. Walk slowly. Each step has intention. With every step, breathe in the calm. With every step, breathe out a tiny release. Count no more than 5 steps. Stop. Place both hands on the heart. Feel the warmth there. Offer a quiet phrase to the self that says, "In essence, this is enough for tonight." Let the phrase be simple. Let it be a holding thought. Like a bookmark, presence of peace often arrives with music of a hush. Not music you analyze. Music you absorb like warmth. Listen in your mind for a single, low tone. It hums beneath other noises. It steadies. It does not demand attention. It simply is. Keep breathing with that tone. Allow it to fill the chest like a slow drumbeat that matches the pulse. This piece is a kind hand in the house. It does everyday things. It warms a bowl. It mends a tear. It irons a small wrinkle in a pillow. The acts are ordinary. The ordinary carries the holy in small ways. In the reading, the promise is made plain by everyday acts. That makes the promise accessible. It makes it kind. Belonging follows this peace. When the heart rests in steadiness, the sense of being part of something larger grows. You belong to a small circle of lights. Each light is like the lamp on the table that I name in the book. The circle does not demand perfect answers. It expects only presence. This belonging is a quiet shelter. It lets the soul breathe. Now imagine a slow evening ritual. Lay a hand over the chest. Breathe in. As the breath comes in, feel a small warmth gather. Breathe out and imagine that warmth spilling gently across the shoulders. Let the shoulders lower. Let the mouth soften. Keep a slow pace. If wakefulness rises later, return to this ritual. It is simple, and it works in slow increments. The peace promised is not a trophy to be displayed. It is a way of living that begins in these small acts. It grows by repetition. It spreads by example. When one person shows calm, others feel permission to follow. This is how quiet courage spreads. One calm breath begets another. I speak now of handing over fear in small steps. You do not need to leave the house of worry in a single night. Start with one thought. Place it on the table. Breathe. Take another small stone of anxiety. Lay it beside the first. Notice the lightness that comes. Give thanks in a small, private way for the space that opens. Gratitude here is not loud. It is a nod. Tonight, the promise I read is that peace will be given. It will arrive not as a demand, but as a gift. Receive it as one receives an offered cup. Do not judge its shape. Drink slowly. Let the warmth travel down. Let it settle. I close this part by inviting a final breath together. Breathe in slowly. Hold as a single quiet count. Breathe out long and gentle. Place one hand over the heart, if that brings comfort. Feel the warmth of the hand and the steadiness beneath. You are not alone in the dark. You are wrapped in a calm presence that persists. The lamp in the garden dims only a little. The pool holds the reflected light. The anchor rests in its place. The book stays in my lap. I will come back soon with the next passage. For now, let the peace settle. Let it cushion the night. Sleep in the knowledge of being given room, belonging, and love. The room listens. The breath in the room keeps a steady pace. I rest the book on my knee and look at the small lamp in the garden of the mind. The lamp glows steady. The pool holds the light. The peace from before settles like a soft blanket. I move now to a new image. It is a simple one. It is the image of a shepherd and a flock. I begin quietly. I do not read to prove. I read to tend. The shepherd scene is close and domestic. It speaks of someone who knows the path and stays with the animals. The voice in the passage calls care by name. It is not loud. It is intimate. The shepherd listens for small sounds. The shepherd answers in a low tone. Imagine that low sound. It moves through the air like a slow footfall. Picture a gentle hill. Gras bends unter Dusk. A few sheep lift their heads. They know the path home. The shepherd walks before them and beside them. The pace is unhurried. The steps are careful, where stones press up from the soil. The shepherd points a steady foot, where brambles lurk. The shepherd clears the way. This is not drama. It is work done with attention. The scene speaks of protection, not in a harsh way, in a steady, neighborly way. The good shepherd does not run at the first noise and leave the flock to panic. The shepherd stays awake. Eyes rest on dark corners. Hands know how to mend a torn fleece. Wounds are tended with a soft cloth and warm water. The shepherd counts the animals without a list. Names live in the shepherd's memory. Consider the idea of laying down one's life. The phrase is weighty, but here it feels like a gesture of the truest care. It looks like staying when it would be easier to leave. It looks like holding steadiness when fear whispers to run. Think of someone sitting up at night with a lantern beside a fevered child. The lantern burns low. The hand brushes the brow. And the presence itself becomes the medicine. That is the shape of laying down life, in the small domestic sense. I ask you to breathe with that image. Breathe in slowly. Let the breath settle. Breathe out and feel a soft release. Imagine a hand tucking a blanket around a sleeping shoulder. The hand is careful, not showy. It smooths without fuss. The sheep in the picture feel this attention. They sleep with their legs curled. They trust the place where the shepherd has nestled them. There is a contrast in the passage between one who truly tends and one who cares only for a wage. The hired hand sees danger and flees. The hired hand holds the ledger in mind. But the good shepherd is anchored to the flock. If danger comes, the shepherd does not weigh the cost. The measure is different. It is relationship, not contract. Picture two people at a door. One locks and leaves for pay. The other stays because someone inside is trembling. The staying alone changes the tone of the house. I invite a small practice for the body. Now, let the jaw soften. Let the shoulders drop a breath deeper. Picture the shepherd's hand resting near your own. No words are necessary. The presence is enough. If there is a place where the chest tightens, Breathe toward it. Let the breath be like a slow hand easing a knot. Each exhale loosens a loop. The shepherd knows each sheep by name. That image is tender and specific. Names matter. To be named is to be noticed. A name spoken softly in the dark asks nothing but attention. Imagine someone beside you in the room, saying your name in a low, steady voice. The sound alone tells you you are seen. Let that feeling settle where doubt tries to make a home. The story also speaks of leading to green pastures and still waters. These are simple pictures, not exotic promises. Green grass underfoot. A pool that does not ripple with worry. The sheep step down to drink. Their mouths touch cool water. The coolness spreads through the throat and into the chest. The body remembers calmness. Imagine cupping water in both hands and tasting it. Let the sensation reach the shoulders. Safety in the passage looks like a gate, too. The shepherd guards the entrance. The gate opens for the sheep. There is a clear doorway between inside and outside. Safety does not insist on walls that shut everyone out. It keeps watch at thresholds. A gate can be kind. It can be a protection that still allows the world to be met, in measured steps. Picture a small gate at the head of a path. Hands rest on the wood. The latch moves with a soft click. Now imagine the shepherd's voice. It calls across the field. The sheep hear that voice and answer. There is a familiarity there. The voice is not a loud trumpet. It is a familiar cadence that calls one home. In the quiet we practice listening for small, steady sounds. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the voice in the mind be the shepherd's call. Let it bring a small knowing that a path back to rest exists. The passage speaks of a shepherd who knows when one sheep wanders. He searches until the stray is found. The search is patient. No public spectacle. Just returning the lost one to the fold. Think of someone who notices a long door ajar and goes to close it. Think of someone who finds a scattered glove and keeps it safe until the owner returns. These small recoveries are the shape of mercy in the passage. I offer a short visualization to practice that mercy towards yourself. Picture a soft fold in the path where you slip. Do not stand on the mistake. See a pair of steady hands picking you up. They brush off the dust. They speak no loud condemnation. They guide you back to the way with a gentle touch. Breathe. Let the breath be the relief of being found. There is another tender detail in the passage. The shepherd calls his own sheep, and they recognize the voice. They follow because they trust the sound. Trust is a slow thing. It grows by presence. It grows by repetition. Imagine the same face at a window each evening. Over time, the face becomes welcome. The rhythm of kindness trains the heart to rest. Practice being the one who answers the call in small ways. Offer a steady cup of water. Open a low gate. Sit quietly without needing to fix everything. The shepherd also warns against thieves and wolves. The language here is careful. The point is not fear, for fear's sake. It is vigilance that keeps tenderness from harm. When a night grows uncertain, it is not always wise to pretend nothing is amiss. The gentle vigilance of the shepherd means knowing when to stand and when to sleep. This balance keeps the flock safe without making the night unbearable. Think of a watch kept by a friend who stays awake while another sleeps. The friend's presence does not ruin rest. It makes rest possible. This is the quality of the shepherd's care. It is not intrusive. It is attentive. It does the small chores that allow others to close their eyes, securing a latch, adjusting a blanket, checking a lamp. These are practical mercies. They are not showy, but they are essential. I slow down even more now. The sentences come like low stones, placed into still water. Let each one create a small ring. Watch the ring widen, and then quiet. Breathe with each ring. Inhale. Let the breath reach the lower belly. Exhale and feel the ring fade. The shepherd keeps placing stones like this until the pool is calm. There is a wider scene too. The shepherd speaks of sheep beyond one fold. The care is not limited. There is a wider calling. This image offers a quiet expansion. It says that care can extend without diminishing. One lamp does not give less light by lighting another. Imagine walking a path and coming upon another hooded light. You share a nod. The path becomes safer. Small kindness spreads easily. I ask you now to place a single hand on your chest, if that comforts you. Feel the steady beat. Each thump is a small proof of presence. Breathe into the space beneath your palm. Let the breath be the steady step of a shepherd's pace. With each breath, imagine the shepherd walking you slowly toward a quiet field. The grass is soft. The air is cool. You are not alone. If there is a tight place in the mind, name it softly. Call it a worry, a sting, a thin ache. Then imagine setting that thin ache into the shepherd's hands. The hands are willing. They know how to hold fragile things. Notice how the body responds to the act of handing over. Shoulders drop. The jaw eases. The breath grows longer. The shepherd image also carries hope. The hope is not a loud promise. It is quiet assurance that someone stays awake on the same night, so you may rest. That assurance is practical. A light left on. A gate checked. A cup of cool water. Such small acts make the night less heavy. They make sleep more likely. As the mind grows quieter, picture the shepherd sitting a few feet away. The sheep sleep with heads tucked beneath flanks. The shepherd keeps watch with a slight, peaceful smile. No grand announcements. Just steady presence. Let that image stay as a pillow for the thoughts that still stir. When thoughts arrive, do not chase them. Let them skim like moths. The shepherd's hand remains a nearby anchor. I will read on in the next part. For now, remain with the picture. Let the calm of the field fill parts that felt tight earlier. Keep breathing slow and even. Count no more than 5 breaths with the shepherd. Breathe in, breathe out. Each inhale takes in the plain air of the pasture. Each exhale releases a small stone from the pocket of worry. One final practice before the book closes for this section. Imagine the shepherd speaking your name in a low tone. Hear it as a sound that calls you home. Let the sound be a soft rope that pulls you toward rest. Allow the shoulders to loosen. Allow the chest to widen a little. Place your hand on the heart. Feel its warmth. Give thanks for the steady company. However you name it. I close the book with a gentle motion. The lamp in the garden dims to a tender glow. The pool holds the reflection of the shepherd's lamp. The image remains possible in the night. Let it be a companion for the hours to come. Sleep toward the sound of the steady step. Rest in the assurance of being tended. When you awaken in the night, return to this scene. Hear the low call. Know that someone knows you by name. For now, breathe slowly and let the body sink. I will come back with more words soon. Until then, sleep in the care that keeps watch. I settle into the quiet with you again. My voice stays low. The room breathes with us. The small light by the path glows steady. The garden holds its hush. Tonight, I linger on a simple picture. A vine spreads along a trellis. Branches reach out from a single living source. Leaves unfurl. Small buds form. The picture is plain and close. It is meant to rest the mind rather than to startle it. I speak slowly. Each sentence is a soft step. The image is of connection. The branch does not try to be the vine. It does not pretend to make its own sap. It rests against the support and draws life. The movement is quiet. It is mutual but rooted in the vine. Imagine the vine beneath the soil. Roots run like a soft map. They drink deep and hold steady. The branch above receives what the root and trunk provide. The flow is slow and steady. It is not forceful. It is nourishing. Breathe with that image. Inhale gently through the nose. Picture sap moving inward. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Picture a small settling in the chest. Let the rhythm catch the pace of the heart. Each breath is an ordinary vessel for the same steady supply that the branch receives. There is an old gardener in the scene. The gardener walks with a soft step. Hands know the vine. The touch is practical and kind. Where a shoot grows weak, the gardener clips it gently. The pruning is not harsh. It is careful and precise. It opens a space for new shoots to grow stronger. Pruning here is a tender word. It does not mean rejection. It means attention. It means removing what steals strength, so the rest may thrive. Picture a small pair of shears. The motion is deliberate. The cut is no more than necessary. Afterward, the branch is freer to draw sap. The air reaches leaves that were crowded before. Let that image be the thought you carry into the chest. Some things in life take energy from the rest. A quiet trimming of expectations makes room for breath. A short letting go of a worn worry can open a wider neck for joy. The gardener's hand is patient. It is not hurried. Let your mind learn that patience tonight. The vine's life depends on continual connection. The branch cannot bear fruit when it is cut away. Fruit grows when the flow is steady. Picture small fruit forming over time. They do not ripen all at once. They appear slowly, round and modest. When the season comes, they are ready. The work toward them was not showy. It was hidden, gradual, faithful. We practice an inner staying here. Stay with the breath. Stay with the picture. Staying is a quiet choice. It looks like opting to sit by the window and watch the rain, rather than running to fix what is beyond help. Staying allows the small, natural growth of calm. There is an economy to this image. The vine gives, the branch receives. The branch then gives back in its own way by bearing fruit. The fruit feeds others. It is not self-contained. The whole pattern is communal rooted supply. Gentle receiving. Quiet offering. I invite a brief exercise. Place one hand on the chest. Rest the other on the abdomen. Breathe in slowly. Feel the rise under both palms. With each inhale, imagine a gentle light flowing down a stem and into the palms. With each exhale, imagine that light settling like warm water into the rib cage. Do this 3 times. Let each repetition make the body a little more steady. The vine also has seasons. There are times of burst and times of rest. In colder months, leaves fall and the vine draws inward. The trunk conserves strength. This wintering is not failure. It is a prudence that keeps life for the return of warmth. Expect similar rhythms in yourself. Rest is not passive defeat. It is a wise preservation. Think of the small lamps by the path. They do not banish night. They simply mark safe steps. The vine's life is like those lamps. It does not promise an absence of difficulty. It promises enough light for the next step. Let that be enough tonight. Enough light to know one small next step toward rest. There are thin tendrils in the picture. They search and curl around supports. They do not grasp all at once. They feel, find, and then hold. Those tender reaches are not awkward failures. They are honest attempts to find stability. If you sense yourself reaching tonight for solace, for small reassurance, imagine the tendril finding a trellis. It wraps gently. The support holds. The reach becomes rest. Now imagine rain on the leaves. The drops are soft. They drip from the edges and nourish without clamor. Each drop is small but faithful. Over time, the soil changes. The roots deepen. The vine gains steadiness. Imagine each small kindness in life as such a drop. Taken together, they matter. Avoid fierce expectations tonight. The vine does not hurry its fruit. It tends the conditions. So too, we tend our nights. A slow routine. A warm cup earlier. A quiet prayer. These provide conditions for peace. They are not dramatic. They are modest and kind. There is also a gentle truth about being pruned. Sometimes what must be cut away hurts to release. A branch that is trimmed feels the loss. Yet in that removal, new shoots find room. If there is a recent trimming in your life, allow yourself to grieve the narrowness that was still. Watch for new green. It arrives where the soil is opened. The vine knows the seasons by listening. Listen now. Hear the small sounds in this room. A clock's soft tick. The breath in and out. The settled fabric of sheets. These are the minor notes that make a hush. They are like the vine's quiet life. No triumph. No drama. A steady presence. I find myself returning to the idea of returning. A branch that wanders can be brought back to the trellis. It may need a gentle tie. A guiding touch. We practice that toward one another. A quiet question in the morning. A small correction given with tenderness. These acts are not control. They are care that helps the living find their line. The vine's soil is not sterile. It contains old leaves and soft compost. The decay of one season feeds the next. Accept that some things must end to give strength to new things. Your own rest can be fed by the slow compost of memory. Let old disappointments be turned into richer ground for simple contentment. Imagine a slow sun passing across the garden. It does not scorch. It warms the leaves just enough. The timing of warmth matters. Some growth only comes when the light is steady and mild. Learn to seek warmth at the right pace. A sudden glare of forced cheer is not the same as the steady sun that wakes the bud. There is tenderness in the vine's dependence. It is not a weakness to draw from another. Dependence becomes mutual, where the vine gives shade or fruit in return. Let nights of receiving be honest. They do not make anyone less worthy. They make life communal. Give and receive in small measures. If anxiety presses tonight, imagine a loose knot on the branch. It is small and distinct. Reach in your mind and untie it slowly. No force, just patient fingers, pulling the loop until it eases. The knot loosens not because it is a failure, but because careful hands move without hurry. We are not alone in this garden. The gardener is not distant. The gardener knows which branches are fragile. The gardener carries water in modest buckets, tends the soil, and watches for pests. There is a steady attention that tends to what needs tending. Imagine that attention as a neighboring presence. It goes about ordinary work and, in doing so, makes room for growth. Fruit appears in quiet ways. It is often plain and useful rather than ornate. The fruit feeds a neighbor. The fruit can be small acts of patience. A steady word. A hot bowl offered to a weary hand. Do not look for spectacle. Look for usefulness. A small kindness ripens more easily than an extravagant show. I keep my sentences small because the mind listens better that way. Each picture I give is concrete. A vine, a hand, a trellis, a drop of rain. Each helps to anchor the heart in a calm reality. Breath remains the bridge between image and body. There will be nights when the vine looks bare. Branches might look stunted. That sight is allowed. The gardener still knows the root. Trust that unseen life continues. The season of waiting is a necessary part of the whole. Let patience be the practice tonight, as you lie or sit. Picture tying a tender shoot to the trellis with soft twine. The tie is light. It merely helps the shoot to aim upward. It does not bind so tight that the stem cannot move. This small practice is a metaphor for small supports in life routines. Gentle friends. A regular pause for prayer or meditation. Let one small tie be made tonight. If forgiveness is a fruit, then it grows slowly from repeated small mercies. Each time, a soft apology is offered, or an old offense is let go. A small sugar forms. Over time, sweetness develops. Do not expect instantaneous harvests. The vine invites a long view. I lower my voice further. The garden hush thickens. The image holds. The vine breathes. The branches draw. Sap moves like a quiet river. Take one last, slow breath with me now. Inhale and imagine life moving from root to tip. Hold that breath for a small, Gentle count. Exhale and allow whatever rests to be steadied by that imagined flow. Let your shoulders drop. Let the jaw relax. Let the mind rest in the picture of receiving and bearing in turn. I close the book with careful hands. The light at the path dims just a little. The vine remains. Its life continues in the quiet beneath the soil and in the patient work of small hands. Keep that image near as sleep comes. Trust in steady connection, in gentle pruning, and in the slow ripening of quiet fruit. When you wake later in the night, return to the picture. Breathe. Place a hand where your heart rests. Remember the trellis, the tendril, the steady hand. Rest in the knowledge of being nourished. I will come back with more words in the next part. For now, sleep into the steady flow of grace that sustains even small branches. I stay where you are. My voice is soft. The room is still. We breathe together. Slow and even. Let the night sit around you like a wide, yet room. I open the passage in my mind. It speaks of life as light. It says, light comes into the dark. The words are simple. They feel like a small lamp placed on a table. The lamp does not glare. It keeps the corners from swallowing the room. Imagine a darkness that is not empty. It holds the day's residue. It holds small fears. It holds the names you whisper to yourself. The darkness is honest. It is not ashamed to be what it is. Now imagine a steady light arriving there. The light does not arrive to scold the darkness. It comes to keep company. See, a single flame at first. It rests in a clear glass. The glass softens its edges. The flame is small enough to hold in the palm, yet it reaches outward. It casts a circle of warmth. The circle grows slowly. It touches a shoulder. It warms the throat. It makes the air around you safe enough to breathe deeper. I ask you to breathe with the image. Inhale slowly. Count to 4. Hold for a brief moment. Exhale long for 6. On the in-breath, gather the thought of light into the chest. On the out-breath, let it spread gently through the arms and into the shoulders. Keep the motion light and patient. The text says that life itself is a kind of light. Life as light means warmth that keeps the small cold away. It means a presence that does not leave when shadows crowd near. Think of a lantern by a closed door. It does not need to be in the center of a field to matter. It simply sits where feet may stumble and shows the safe step. Darkness tests the heart in many ways. It can feel like unfinished tasks. It can sound like quiet regrets. It can feel like an ache of loneliness. None of those things are pretended away by the light. Rather, the light turns the textures of those aches into something soft enough to handle. The edge dulls. The weight becomes more bearable. Picture now a headland by the sea. The night fog lies low. A lighthouse stands on the cliff. Its beam sweeps slow and tireless. Boats far off watch for that sweep. The light does not chase every wave. It names a safe line. It gives a direction. The lighthouse does not promise still water. It promises a safe course. Let that image steady the chest. I read the passage in a voice that moves like that beam. not frantic, not hurried, just steady. Each phrase lands and then waits. That waiting is a kind of grace. It allows the mind to keep pace. It keeps the body calm. If fear presses near, imagine the light from the lighthouse touching that fear. The fear does not dissolve in proud fashion. It becomes a smaller thing at the edge of the beam. It shrinks enough to be seen clearly. When you can see something clearly, you can choose how to carry it. The light gives that simple clarity. There is a promise in the passage that darkness does not overcome. That sentence is not a boast. It is a quiet, firm word. It means that the light's presence changes the nature of the night. The night is not erased. The night remains. But the night no longer defines everything. A steady trace persists despite the dark. Allow the light to rest at the center of the chest. Imagine a small glow there. The glow grows slow and even. It is not hot. It is soft and near. Feel how the shoulders ease as the glow settles. Let the throat relax. Let the jaw unclench. Each tiny muscle finds permission to relax. In the presence of the light, I ask for a simple practice. Place one hand over the heart if that comforts. Feel the palm's warmth. Breathe in and picture the light passing into your hand. Breathe out and imagine it sinking into the chest. Do this for 3 slow rounds. No rush, no striving. Just the quiet exchange of light and breath. The passage also speaks of a beginning. Light is first in the sequence. It comes before a lot of other things that demand hard answers. For our needs tonight, that beginning is a gentle permission. It permits rest before achievements. It gives value to being rather than doing. Let that permission be small, but firm in the body. See now a window in a small house. It burns with a single candle. Outside, the wind moves leaves. Inside, the candle keeps a small, steady peace. The candle's warmth does not change the wind. It changes how the window is seen. Through that soft light, the house looks like a harbor. Let that harbor reflect inward. Your room can be that house tonight. There is a quiet courage in receiving light. To receive is to accept that consolation need not be earned. It is not a prize for perfection. It is given. Imagine someone placing a blanket on a sleeping shoulder. The blanket is offered. The sleeper takes it and feels warmer. That unearned warmth is a mercy. Allow it without explanation. Now picture light as a line on a path. The path is not entirely visible. The edges blur. The line helps place each foot. Take a slow, careful step in the imagination. Feel the toes press down. Feel the heel roll. The next step is easier. One step after another, the path becomes less daunting. The light does not make the path vanish. It makes the steps manageable. If a memory returns that tightens the chest, hold it within the circle of light in the mind. The memory does not need to be pushed away. Let the light surround it like a warm cloth. See the memory's edges soften. Watch the hard colors bleach into gentler tones. The action is not erasing. It is gentling. There is also a solidarity in the light image. The light is not an abstract brightness. It is a near thing that sits at a bedside. It is a friend who will not go away at midnight. Imagine that friend drawing a chair beside you. No questions. No judgment, just presence. Feel the comfort that comes from not having to explain everything. When worries arrive as a steady trickle, picture the light as a small bowl placed beneath the flow. The bowl catches the worries like water. The bowl holds them without overflow. They do not drown you. That containment itself calms. The bowl's rim is not a wall. It is a gentle boundary. The light's presence makes that boundary possible. Breathe with those images. Inhale a soft count. Let the light occupy the small, sacred place behind the breastbone. Exhale slowly and imagine the light moving into the arms, down the back, along the legs. Let the body surrender into the sensation. Each exhale is like lowering a weight onto a bench and then letting the bench take it. The passage's light is not a quick fix. It is patient. It watches and waits. It returns, steady as seasons. When nights recur with the same questions, the light is still there. It is not discouraged by repetition. It keeps its slow work. Imagine a slow hand returning to smooth a blanket again and again. The repetition is not boring. It is reliable care. If you are tempted to keep vigil with worry, allow the light to be the watch beside you. Replace the act of counting problems with the act of counting breaths. Each breath is a small tally of presence. Count no more than 5. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Let the light mark each breath with a quiet nod. The act trains the heart to settle. There is a comfort in small brightness. Not all light needs to blaze to be true. A tiny flame can be enough to read by. A single star can guide a walker. The truth in the passage is humble. The glow is modest. Its modesty makes it steady. It does not burn itself out in grand gestures. It preserves itself for the long night. Think of kindnesses you have received. Picture them like small lamps left at doors. One lamp was a phone call long past midnight. Another was a note left quietly. Bring each lamp to mind. Let each one cast a small circle. See how those circles overlap. They make a path across the dark. The path is simple. It is enough to walk. If sleep will not come easily, consider allowing the light to tell a small story without words. Watch how it warms a picture on a wall. Watch how its edges blur. Watch how shadows fold down like cloth. The motion of light and shadow is slow and rhythmic. Your eyes can follow it without tension. The body learns the rhythm and sinks into it. There is a safety in the phrase that darkness did not overcome. It reads like testimony. It does not promise absence of trial. It promises endurance beyond trial. Night may press. Fog may thicken. Still, the presence of light holds a line. Hold that line lightly. Do not grip. Let it be a guide. Not a promise of instant clarity. Invite one last resting image. See a small chapel lit by a single lamp. The space holds a hush. There is room to kneel or to sit. There is a bench for a weary head. No performance is required. The lamp burns for anyone who needs the quiet. Sit there for a moment. Feel the lamp's warmth on the skin of your palms. Let that warmth travel inward. Now, softly. Place your hand on your chest, if that helps. Feel the beat beneath your fingers. Each beat is a small, steady answer to the night's noise. Each beat is a witness that you are alive and held. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the light rest in the chest and spread outward with each breath. I will read the next passage soon. For now, let this small brightness do its work. Let it be a companion for the hours ahead. The darkness is not defeated by drama. It is kept in its place by a steady, unhurried glow. One more slow breath with me. Inhale and welcome the light. Hold it gently. Exhale and let it settle in the body. Keep the rhythm soft. Keep the room still. Sleep will come in its own time. The light will wait. It will not be overcome. I close this part with a calm hand. The light in the mind dims only a little. It remains. Steady and patient. Rest now into its company. I will return in the next part with more small words to guide the night. I open the book and let my hand rest on the page for a quiet moment. The room breathes slowly. My voice comes low and steady. I read a passage in John that speaks of bread. The picture is plain and close. It is a table, a loaf, a hand that offers. I do not speak in proofs. I speak of comfort. I paraphrase what the text says about bread that satisfies. It promises that hunger finds an answer. It promises that thirst finds a cup. The words are gentle and simple. They ask only to be heard in the hush before sleep. Imagine a warm loaf taken from the oven. The crust is thin, crackling softly when pressed. Steam rises in a thin, fragrant ligne. The smell is enough to make hands slow. Picture someone breaking the bread carefully. Crumbs fall like small offerings. The bread is meant to be given. It is meant to be shared. Breathe slowly as you hold that image. Inhale for a gentle count. Exhale long and even. Let the thought of bread fill the chest like a small warmth. The hunger that sits vague and unnamed can be held in that image for a moment. It need not be wrestled with. It is received. The passage I read tells of a promise that goes beyond food on a table. It speaks of a deep supplying. It speaks of needs that rise in the night, the empty ache that words often cannot reach. The promise is that those needs are met. They are met in a way that is steady and abiding. The supply is not a one-time gift that runs out quickly. It is a flow that continues, kept by a source that does not fail. Think of a long, slow oven heat that keeps the bread warm through a cool evening. That warmth is not loud. It is constant. It steadies the hands that reach for a slice. Let that steadiness be a picture of the care that meets what you carry. You do not have to sing your list of faults to receive it. The care knows the small things you cannot say aloud. It attends to them. The image of bread also carries table manners of mercy. One sits across a simple table and passes what one has. There is no show. There is a quiet courtesy. A hand offers a piece. Another hand takes it. Eyes meet and relax. The act itself is small, but it changes the room. A pattern of giving becomes a shared rhythm. Now picture a cup beside the bread. The cup holds cool water or a broth that soothes the throat. The drink does not require theme or explanation. It is simply served and accepted. When thirst rises in the throat at 3 in the morning, a cup like this answers simply, without a lecture. Let its plainness soothe the mind. I invite a short practice. Imagine yourself at a table with a modest meal. Place your palms lightly on your thighs. Breathe in, noticing the weight of the hands. Breathe out, and imagine the bread placed in front of you. Take the bread in the mind and break it slowly. Feel the texture. Allow the scent in the imagination. Taste the warmth, however faint, with each small imagined bite. Let a private hunger ease. The passage also connects this giving with identity. The one who offers the bread does not merely hand out food. The offering says, in effect, you are known. You are wanted at this table. That knowing is quiet and personal. It is not a demand for performance. It is an invitation to rest into belonging. Resting into belonging does not mean sudden cure of anxieties. It means sitting down without the urgent need to prove worth. It is the permission to place a worn worry on the bench beside the plate. The worry sits there and is not mocked. It is kept company with a loaf and a cup. There is another tenderness in the passage. The promise of never being left hungry or thirsty points to abundance. But abundance here is not ostentation. It is enough. The measure is suitable for the moment. Like a small garden that gives just enough herbs for the pot. The abundance meets what is needed now. It is a kindness tailored to the hour. So I ask you to notice a need that feels sharp tonight. It might be worry about tomorrow. It might be a thin sadness. Imagine handing that need across the table. Lay it gently on the wood. See it taken into the care of the bread and the cup. Feel a small easing as the weight moves from your arms to the table. The text also gently invites a practice that follows receiving, sharing. The bread that feeds one is not meant to be hoarded. It encourages a readiness to pass a piece to another. Love grows in the motion of giving what was received. The rhythm is simple. Receive, rest, give. Over time it shapes the heart. I speak now of love. The command that follows in the Gospel is quiet and immediate. It asks for a kind of mutual care that is domestic rather than spectacular. Love is not a shout. It is a slow tending. It looks like setting a bowl at a neighbor's door. It looks like fixing a small hinge that squeaks each night. It looks like listening to a story without rushing to answer. Imagine a row of small houses with windows lit by candlelight. A person steps from one door to the next carrying a plate of bread. The plates are simple. The act moves quietly through the street. No proclamation is needed. The steady footsteps themselves become a language of love. Take a breath and picture these walks. Feel the soles of your shoes on the pavement in the mind. Notice the warm plate holding bread that still gives off heat. Imagine lifting a corner of a cloth to reveal the loaf and offering it without ceremony. The receiver accepts. The exchange makes both lighter. Love, as the passage implies, is often practiced in these modest trades. Forgiveness becomes a daily tuck-in rather than a dramatic confession. Patience appears as the choice not to answer in anger. Hospitality is not an event, but a habit of small openness. These practices become the meals around which lives are formed. There is also a gentleness to the command to love one another. It does not insist on perfection. It asks for proximity. It asks for steady presence. The acts that count are not always the grand ones. They are the ones that keep a roof steady, that mend a seam, that boil an extra pot of soup for a visitor who has arrived tired. Now picture someone entering a room exhausted and finding a place already warmed. A blanket lies on the arm of a chair. A cup waits on the table. The tired person does not have to explain the depth of weariness. The room already meets them. This small predictability is itself a form of love. I offer a simple exercise for practicing this love tonight. In your mind, identify one small thing you could do tomorrow that would be an offering to someone else. It need not be dramatic. It could be a short note left at the neighbor's door. It could be a clear place at the breakfast table. Imagine planning this kindly act with quiet care. Picture placing the loaf wrapped in a cloth and setting it down with a soft knock. The planning itself settles the heart. As a reader of the text before bedtime, I say that love heals in increments. It does not erase deep harm with a single plate. It rebuilds by habit. 1,000 small offerings make a life where trust can grow. The slow accumulation of kindness has weight. It steadies earlier flightiness or team. The texture of a community softens into trust. There is also a sacred reciprocity in receiving and giving. To accept bread is not a failure. It is a trust placed in the hands that offer. To offer bread is not a display of moral superiority. It is a way of living that reflects the original giving. This circle of giving and receiving keeps a room warm. In the quiet of this hour, allow yourself to be both receiver and giver in imagination. Take a small piece of the bread in the mind and place it on someone else's plate. Do it without drama. Let the gesture be gentle and plain. Watch how it frees a bit of the heart. The movement of passing a piece lessens the gravity of solitary worry. The passage invites a trust that the deepest needs are noticed. The receiving is not merely for grand requests. It is for the small longings that wake in the night. The cup and the loaf know those longings. They answer with a closeness that does not demand a long, persuasive speech. They simply meet. I speak now of silence and small acts together. Sit with the image of a kitchen where lights are low. Someone washes a dish with slow, steady motions. The sound is soft. The soap and water make a small soothe. The act of cleaning becomes a prayer without words. The heart eases by watching repetition that is kind. For the remainder of this hour, practice a breathing pattern I name for you. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold lightly for 2. Breathe out for 6. With each in-breath picture, bread being broken. With each out-breath picture, a piece being passed. Keep the rhythm steady. Let the body learn the movement of receiving and of giving. If a hunger resurfaces in the night, return to the image of the table. You can take the imagined loaf again. There is room. The promise is not limited by the smallness of the table. It expands in the imagination. There is always enough for this hour. Receive what you need. Share what you can. I close this section with a small, purposeful invitation. Lay one hand over the heart if that brings comfort. Feel the warmth of the palm. Let it remind you that you are included at the table. Let the pulse beneath be the quiet metronome of care. Breathe together with the image of bread and cup. Let the thought settle like a crumb on silk. Tonight, sleep toward that small feast. Let the motion of giving and receiving steady the pulse. Let the assurance that needs are met ease the shoulders. Love the one near you as you can. Accept love offered without suspicion. The book rests in my lap. The next part waits. For now, rest in the plain abundance that arrives at a simple table. I settle the book on my knee and breathe with the hush already in the room. My voice is a low lamp. It does not rush. I open the page and hold the thought of a simple promise. Tonight, I read a passage that talks about a place being made ready. I do not press it into argument. I let it sit like a small, steadfast fact. The scene is quiet. It feels like a late hour when rooms close their windows and the house exhales. The promise is that a room has been prepared. The language in the text suggests someone who knows the house well. Someone walks ahead to set a chair. Someone smooths the sheets. The motion is careful. It is not hurried. Imagine a narrow stair that leads to a little attic room. The stair creaks a soft, familiar sound. Each tread is worn in a way that tells of many small arrivals. The handrail fits the palm like the memory of a family. At the top of the stair, a door stands slightly ajar, as if someone stepped out a moment before and will return. The light from inside spills a warm band across the threshold. I ask for a slow breath. Inhale. Hold for a soft count. Exhale long. Let the breath anchor the picture. The body settles. The shoulders lower. The eyes under lids trace the door's edge in the mind. The prepared room is not meant to impress. It is meant to welcome. A small bed rests against the near wall. The sheets are plain. They are clean and cool. A single lamp sits on a nightstand. The lamp gives enough light to read by, and no more. There is a small rug by the bedside that cushions the step. A window faces the stars. The stars are not startling. They are a soft set of witnesses. The idea of a place prepared implies intention. Someone thought ahead. A seat is pulled out, so that weary feet will not have to find their own. The thought itself is a kindness. Imagine that someone went through the house, setting out a cup, folding a blanket, tucking a note by the pillow that says, without words, "You may come and rest." I read these lines in a soft rhythm. Each phrase finds its place, and then rests. Let the cadence slow the mind. Bass is gentle. The images do the rest. There is also a sense of return. The one who prepares does not vanish. The preparation is an invitation to follow, not a one-sided arrangement. The promise is to come back and bring close what is promised. That coming is not grand flourish. It is a steady motion of a hand at the latch, of footfalls on a familiar path, of someone opening a door to welcome the tired body. Close your eyes if that helps. See the lamplight bending across the bedside. See the small dust motes floating like quiet expectations. Hear the low hush of a house that keeps watch. The stillness is kind. It does not demand a confession. It only offers room if there is a tightness in the chest. Imagine setting it on the footstool by the bed. The tightness will not be taken away in a show of magic. It will be noticed and tended. A towel is offered. A small basin waits. A hand smooths what is ruffled. The care is tactile and simple. The passage does not rescue from every trouble. It does not promise that storm clouds will never come. Instead, it offers a secure room beyond the storm. The house has a way of holding things. The bed does not remove the night's dampness, but it gives a place to warm up. The lamp does not banish the dark, but it shows the edge of the steps so one can move without falling. This evening, I invite a small practice. Picture yourself walking the stairs slowly. Feel one foot on each tread. Sense the shift of weight. Each step is deliberate. Each step lets the day's cares slide down like one takes off a coat. The coat hangs on a peg by the door. No argument needed. The coat is simply taken off and set aside. Pause at the door. Place a hand on the wood. It is warm from earlier hands. Push the door inward. The room welcomes. Step inside and notice the bed. Let the mattress take the weight of the body. The hips sink a little. The shoulders soften. The breath grows longer. The lamp glows near enough to comfort, but far enough to keep the mind still. There is a chair by the window. Sit if it comforts. Look out and watch a star steady in its place. The star is patient. It does not demand recognition. It simply burns with small constancy. Let its constancy be a parallel to the promise in the text. A prepared place waits. Its light is not hurried. Do this next slow thing with me. Place a palm over the heart. Feel the steady beat. Let each beat be a small proof that presence holds. Breathe in and imagine that presence kneading out a knot of worry. Breathe out and feel the knot loosen. Repeat for 3 slow rounds. Allow the body to answer. The image of a prepared place carries also the sense of belonging. A room made ahead is an invitation to be known. Names matter in such a house. To be called by name is to be expected. A name on a door means someone remembered to set a place. If memories press like thin plates, think of a small name tag by the pillow. Let it speak without words. You are expected here. I am careful not to turn this into a lecture. The passage is a comfort to rest upon. Thoughts of belonging are not demands for proof. They are a gentleness that makes the chest quiet enough to breathe. The idea helps where solitude has felt vast. It makes distance feel traversable. There is also an ordinary work that goes into preparing a place. Sheets are smoothed. A kettle is checked. A lamp has oil. Tiny tasks create a dependable room. The passage shows that the divine care often looks like these tiny tasks. They are practical and humble. A steady hand on a hinge, water warmed for the feet, a chair set to the right height. These are the acts that make a room livable. If worry returns, imagine one of those small tasks being done. Picture soft hands tucking a corner of the sheet. Picture a hand pouring a little water into a basin. The motions are ordinary and calming. Watch how the mind follows. The nervous energy eases. The rhythm of hands at work soothes. The promise of a prepared place is not an emergency shelter alone. It is also a home. You are not merely rescued and then left adrift. The one who prepares welcomes you into a space with purpose. There is a sense of permanence. The maker of the room expects to stay. That steadiness changes how one rests. Think of a lamp that waits on the table night after night. Come home, and it is there. The house does not need explanations. The lamp is not a test. Its presence is quiet and generous. The comfort of a prepared place is like that lamp. It is a small, faithful witness to the hours. I read these lines in the hush between breaths. Each phrase is a step toward rest. There is nothing to prove. There is nothing to perform. The story simply unfolds, like a hand drawing a curtain aside to reveal a bed kept ready. Now imagine a small shelf in the room. On the shelf sits a simple token. It might be a cup with a chip, a smooth pebble from a remembered shore, a worn book. The token is neither grand nor unimportant. It is a sign of memory and of continuity. Place a small, worn worry there in the mind. Notice how the shelf takes it without fuss. The worry becomes an object among others. It loses its urgency. If fear whispers that safety is temporary, let the picture of the prepared room answer with quiet steadiness. The one who prepares knows the way back. The door opens for the one who comes. The table is set. The seat is ready. There is also the gentle idea of being called to a future place. The passage reaches forward to a time when the prepared room will be fully occupied. For tonight, that forward gaze is not a demand to finish a life's work. It is a soft horizon. It gives now a sense of continuity beyond the immediate tiredness. A future home stretches the current night into an enduring promise. I invite one more breathing practice. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 6. With each in-breath, imagine taking in the warmth of the prepared room. With each out-breath, lay down a small burden at the foot of the bed. Do this slowly, until the breath itself feels like the act of brushing a blanket over an anxious thought. There is a concluding kindness in these words. The room stays prepared, even if sleep will not come right away. The lamp remains. The bed waits. The expectation is not conditional on performance. It is a stable thing. Let that steadiness hold the mind through the night. I close the book with a soft motion. The cover meets the palms like the final fold of a blanket. The lamp in the garden of the mind dims to a steady glow. The image of the prepared place stays near, small and sure. If wakefulness returns later, return to the stair, to the door, to the lamp that waits on the table. Place one hand over the heart if that comforts. Feel the pulse under the palm. Let it be a gentle reminder that a place is prepared and that someone keeps watch. Rest with that thought. Let the breath deepen. Let the night take its slow course. I will come back in the next part. I will read more gentle passages and keep the pace low. For now, sleep toward the made bed. Trust the lamp. Trust the prepared place. Allow the calm to gather. The room is ready. The welcome is quiet and true. Rest into it. I sit with the book on my knee and breathe with you. The room listens. The small lamp in the mind glows steady. Tonight I turn to another quiet image from John. It speaks of water that does more than wet the lips. It speaks of water that becomes a spring within. Imagine a well at the edge of a village. The well is plain. A stone lip circles it. A worn bucket hangs on a rope. People come and go. They come with jars and with tired hands. Their steps are slow in the heat. Their footsteps know the path by memory. The well has been kept for a long time. I read the passage in a low voice. I do not preach. I describe. The text names thirst. It names a remedy that goes deeper than a single cup. It promises water that satisfies in a way that ordinary water does not. The promise feels like an invitation to the very center of need. Picture cupping both hands and dipping them into clear water. The water slips between the fingers and runs clean down the wrist. It is cool enough to startle the skin. The surprise of that coolness wakes something in the mouth and throat. The first swallow is small and precise. The throat relaxes. The heat loosens its grip. This living water is like that coolness. But it keeps working after the first drink. It does not merely patch a momentary thirst. It begins a flow that continues. Imagine a spring that bubbles under a rock. It does not run dry at the first tongue. It presses up, slow and steady. Keeping the pool filled and calm, I ask for a gentle breath now. Inhale slowly. Hold for a soft beat. Exhale long and even. Picture the breath like the lowering of the bucket into the well. The string slips. The weight settles. Draw up the water. Let it rest in the bowl of the hands. Let the water be a picture for needs that words cannot name. There are small hungers that wake in the dark. There are edges of loneliness that squeeze without making noise. Imagine each of those things as a dry patch in the throat. The living water cools them. It moves through the chest and makes a small space for ease. The text does not promise an instant fix to every fear. It offers refreshment that reorders how thirst is met. It suggests that some wells are shallow. They quench for a moment and leave the mouth parched again. The living spring fills from a deep source. It supplies beyond a single hour. In the story, a woman comes to the well with a jar. She carries the weight of days that have been uneven. The jar is heavy. Her hands are steady from habit. She expects what everyone expects, a brief drink and the return to the road. Instead, there is an offer of water that will change the pattern of her going and coming. Imagine the jar replaced by a small fountain within. No longer must the feet travel back and forth, as if to earn mercy by toil. The spring rests inside the house of the chest. When weariness returns in the small hours, the hand can dip into its own interior and find coolness there. The gesture is private and steady. I read the scene slowly. Each phrase settles like a pebble dropped into still water. The rings widen. Then calm. Let each ripple be a small loosening in the shoulders. Let the motion reach the jaw. Let the muscles smooth like pebbled water, given a calm wind. There are times when the mind tries to tally needs. It lists what was lost, what was omitted, what was missed. The living water image refuses a ledger. It meets the count by simply offering refreshment. It does not require a list. It receives the worn and the uncounted alike. Practice a short motion with me. Imagine setting a cup beneath a spout. The cup waits. The spout pours a steady thread. Watch the cup fill slowly. There is no hurry. When full, lift it to the lips. Take a sip that is just enough Feel the coolness move across the palate and down into the chest. The body answers by letting a small tension slide away. This water is soft in language. It is not a loud promise. It is an inner habit of being satisfied. Where a restless habit once demanded constant possession, the spring teaches sufficiency. It is not stingy. It is plentiful. But it is also measured to the needs of the heart. Think of wells that run shallow in personal memory. They appear as patterns that never quite rest. The living water invites a new pattern. It is less about fixing who did what, and more about simply drinking when the throat is dry. This gentle shift alters the rhythm of waking and sleeplessness. I name a small practice now. Place one hand over the chest if that comforts. Feel the warmth of your palm. Breathe in slowly, and imagine water being drawn up under the hand. Breathe out and picture the water spreading warmth down into the belly. Do this for 3 slow rounds. Each round is a small cleansing. Each round is a permission to be tended. The spring image also includes movement. Water flows. It does not stay stagnant, where the soil is compacted by fear or memory. The flow presses and softens. The water follows channels already present. It also makes gentle new channels where needed. Change in this image is patient. It is not abrupt. New ways form through repeated small currents. If a night is full of questions, let this living water be a companion that does not demand answers. Drink small gulps. Let the coolness quiet the urge to solve everything before dawn. Some queries will wait. They do not need to crowd this hour. The water teaches patience as much as refreshment. There is tenderness in the story's plainness. The one who offers the water does not test with a list. The offer is simple and immediate. The person at the well gets an invitation to drink perpetually. That graciousness feels domestic. It feels like someone bringing a bowl to a tired hand. Imagine a trough at the door where travelers rest their cup. Each cup is different. Some are chipped. Some are bright. The water receives all cups the same. It does not prefer the polished thing. It warms to the need. That is the quality of mercy in this image. Acceptance without calculation. Let the breath slow further. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. As you exhale, imagine the water in the chest settling like clear liquid in a jar. The liquid surface calms. The jar does not shatter under a gust. It is made to hold. That sensation makes the hands relax. Sometimes, thirst is an ache for meaning. The living water image speaks to that ache in a modest way. It says there is a comfort that can be trusted. It is not a loud lecture. It is a still presence that answers without alarm. The person drinking finds a measure of peace that steadies the next step. There is also a communal angle here. The spring that wells up within one person can overflow in small ways. It yields patience, generosity, a calme voice. A neighbor hears the change. A house relaxes around the steadier presence. In small circles, the quiet refreshment spreads like dew in the morning. Practice imagining a cup passed across a table. The passing is slow and kind. No words are required. The act itself communicates. It is service made ordinary. If there is someone on the mind tonight, picture offering them a sip in thought. Let that imagined gift ease the tightness you carry. Do not expect a complete erasure of difficulty. The spring does not promise absence of nights. It promises supply through them. The image comforts by changing the posture toward trouble, instead of fighting a desert of worry alone. The person next to the well can drink and stand again, with enough for the road. If sleep resists, return to the well in the mind. Step to the lip. Lower the bucket. Hear the soft splash as it hits the water. Draw it up. Let the coolness reach the mouth. Swallow slowly. Imagine the sound of small ripples. The sound itself becomes a lullaby for the busy thoughts. There is humility in this water. It does not parade its power. It performs quietly. The spring feeds without notice. It is not flashy. Its fruit is steady calm. Accept that smallness as a strength. The night welcomes modest aids more readily than grand performances. I place one hand on the cover of the book and keep the other over my heart for a moment. My voice is a low lamp in the room. If it comforts, place a hand where your heart rests. Feel its warm rise and fall. Let the rhythm be a witness that life continues its gentle work. End with a small settling ritual. Breathe in and imagine drawing up a cup from the well within. Hold it for the count of a quiet beat. Breathe out and let the water flow down through the shoulders, down the arms, through the hands, and into the floor as if pouring into a calm pool. Watch the pool fill slowly until the surface is smooth. Tonight, let living water be the image you return to when rest does not come easy. Drink in the calm. Let it soften sharp places. Trust a steady supply for small hours and long mornings. The lamp dims a little now. The garden pool keeps its reflection. The well remains at the edge of the village, patient and full. When wakefulness rises later, return to the well. Cup your hands again. Drink quietly. Let the coolness do its work. For now, sleep toward the sound of small ripples and the assurance that thirst can be met. I close the book with careful hands. The night keeps its hush. The water keeps flowing. Rest into it. I settle into the chair and let the room breathe with me. My voice is quiet. The lamp in the garden image keeps a soft light. Tonight, I hold a single line from John and let it move slowly through the heart. I do not argue. I do not puzzle the words. I let them be a steady hand. The phrase names three things away: a truth and a life. I do not repeat the sentence of the text exactly. I give it a gentle paraphrase. Like placing a warm cup on a table, hear it as an invitation. Hear it as a simple direction in the dimness. Think first of the way. Picture a narrow path at twilight. The path is not wide. It does not promise a crowd. It winds between soft hedges and over low, honest stones. A lamp hangs from a post. The lamp gives just enough to see the next step. Do not think of a map with too many labels. Think of a single footfall after another. Each step is deliberate. Each step is offered. The way asks for small courage. It does not require great feats. It asks only that a foot be placed, and then the next. Imagine walking slowly, Feel the heel touch the ground. Feel the toes lift. The muscles relax into the motion. The world grows less loud when the steps are patient. There is kindness in a clear path. A path keeps one from wandering into brambles. It does not remove the night wind. It only marks safe ground. Imagine the lamp's circle. It does not banish everything. It only shows where to place the hand next. Let that be enough for tonight. Now I slow down and move toward the final image for this evening. The next thought is rest itself. Resting in the presence that keeps the household is the last comfort. It is the kind that does not require a speech. It arrives as a steady company in the dark. The more the night settles, the more this presence becomes a pillow to the mind. I breathe with you in the hush. Place a palm over the heart, if that comforts. Feel the steady motion beneath. Let each beat be a soft witness that you are held. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out longer. With each exhale, imagine the room's keeper tucking a corner of the blanket around the shoulders. The motion is small. It makes the space safe. Part 15 drov nir. I slow my voice to a near whisper. Tonight I read a passage that is quiet in its power. It speaks simply of resting in a nearness that does not need loud signs. The presence is patient. It watches the slow work of night with a calm that does not disturb. The image is of a quiet hearth-room where someone remains awake enough to notice the small details. They do not wake in panic. They do not scold the restless mind. They keep a light at the bedside. They mend a tear when it is seen. They pour a cup for the one who wakes thirsty. The presence itself is the devotion. It is not rhetoric. It is a hand that smooths hair and a low voice that hums. Though no words are needed, resting in this presence is not the same as forgetting. It does not make responsibilities disappear. It simply changes how they lie upon the chest. A task that used to feel like a mountain becomes a small hill to be walked tomorrow. The weight lessens because someone else keeps watch at the base of the hill tonight. I invite a slow breathing rhythm now. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 1. Breathe out for 6. Let the rhythm be the measure of the room. With each in-breath, imagine drawing the presence near. With each out-breath, allow that presence to settle around a tight place. Keep the breath smooth and unforced. Picture the presence as a soft lantern hung from a low beam. The lantern sheds no harsh glare. It simply keeps a circle of comfort. Within that circle, the heart can unclench. Imagine laying a small worry at the lantern's edge. The light does not judge the worry. It turns the worry into an ordinary object that can be handled with care. If sleep resists, practice small acts of handing over. Name a single concern in the mind, and then place it in a small basket at the foot of the bed. The basket belongs to the one who keeps watch. They will tend it. You do not have to guard it alone. The act of placing things in the basket is a discipline of trust. It forms a habit of transferring burdens into a safer space. Think now of a slow, familiar song, hummed without words. The tune is not elaborate. It is a lullaby of presence. Let it play softly in the imagination. Each note is a step inwards. It does not ask for commentary. It simply accompanies the body's descent into rest. The passage also promises mercy as a companion to this rest. Mercy arrives not as a didactic verdict. It comes like a warm cloth laid over a bruise. The feeling is calming. It does not require replaying mistakes. It offers a way to suspend judgment long enough to sleep. Mercy makes room for new mornings. Hold that mercy in the mind. Picture it as a shawl wrapped around the shoulders. Wear it for a moment. Feel its warmth. The shawl does not solve every problem. It only keeps cold at bay in practical ways. Let the shawl be enough for tonight. When worry intrudes again, use the breath to create a small boundary. Breathe in and picture drawing a soft circle of light, just large enough to hold the worry. Breathe out and watch the worry sit within the circle. Manageable and contained. Repeat until the mind rests on the contained shape rather than the swirl of fears. There is a final gentleness in the text's offering. It says that this abiding presence will not abandon the sleepers. It will keep vigil without boasting. To rest is to trust that somebody is quietly maintaining the house. Someone tends the lamps. Someone knows the names of those who wake. That knowledge turns fear into a quieter waiting. As I near the close, I lower my voice another notch. The book closes to a soft whisper of cover and page. I linger with the thought that identity and presence meet here. To be a child of the household is to be invited into both belonging and keeping. To rest is to accept the double gift you are known. And you are accompanied. One last small practice. Place a hand over the heart and another on the belly. If that comforts, inhale slowly. Hold for a soft count. Exhale long and smooth. On the out-breath, imagine a soft light spreading from the heart outward. Let it reach the shoulders, the arms, the legs. With each breath, the body gives up a little more tension. Each exhale is a small offering back to the presence that keeps watch. I will stay a few breaths more in that hush. Breathe with me. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Let the evening fold gently. The lamp in the mind dims to a tender glow. The prepared room keeps its seat. The name on the sill remains. The watchful hand does not hurry away. When sleep comes, let it be slow and kind. If wakefulness returns, return to this simple set of practices. Name one small burden. Place it gently in the basket. Breathe with slow counts. And imagine the light at the bedside keeping watch. These are not grand exercises. They are small, steady habits that make deep rest more possible. I set the book aside with care. The lamp in the garden reflects just a little coin of light on the pool. The garden holds a quiet. The room is safe. Go now into the night with the knowledge of being called, known, and kept. Rest in the presence that does not need to prove itself. Sleep in mercy. And wake in hope. I settle in with you for the last hour. My voice stays low. The room breathes with us. The pages rest open, soft in my hands. Tonight we finish slowly. The end is gentle. It is not abrupt. It draws together what we have kept. First, a simple pause. Breathe in quietly. Hold. Breathe out long. Let the body answer. Let the shoulders loosen a fraction. Let the jaw unclench. The breath becomes the hinge that opens the rest of the night. I read a short passage now. I do not read to prove. I read to place a lamp beside your bed. The lines I choose speak of being welcomed into a larger house. They suggest a place already made. Imagine a small corridor, lit with low lamps. Each lamp marks a door. One door is yours to enter. The key is simple. Accept. Step through. The scene shows that belonging is not earned like a trophy. It is offered like a hand at a doorway. A name is spoken without ceremony. A seat waits. That waiting is the first kindness. Let it rest in the chest like a warm cloth. Hold the image of a hand reaching for yours at a threshold. The hand is steady. It does not ask you to explain how tired you are, nor labels, no long list, just an open palm and a small lift to the chin. The motion invites you inside. You do not need to rush. There is mercy in this invitation. Mercy does not erase mistakes. It does not deny failures. It simply gives room for the breath to come back. Picture a bench by the hallway. Lay heavy things there. The bench is patient. It will keep them until morning. That is mercy made practical. I slow my reading even more. Each sentence is a soft step. The voice becomes spare and exact. The text speaks of a familiar presence that watches through the night. Not a loud gourd. A neighbor who sits with a lamp. A friend who hums a small tune. Their presence is a kind of shelter. If worry returns, name it gently. A single word is enough worry. Place that word on the bench in your mind. Do not try to argue with it. Lay it down as you would a tired coat. Feel what shifts when a burden moves from the shoulders to a bench. The shoulders answer by dropping a little. Now picture a small cup set by a door. It contains water that cools without fuss. When thirst wakes you in the dark, the cup is there. Tilt it in the imagination. Let the coolness move over the tongue. Taste the ease that follows. The cup is an image of care that does not demand a speech. There is also a simple lamp by the window. It is not bright. It is close and calming. Its light curves around the edges of fear. It shows a path home without blinding the view. When the mind races, return to that lamp. Let its circle be the safe place for one breath at a time. I paraphrase the passage on being called a child. The phrase arrives like a label stitched on a blanket. It does not boast. It announces belonging. To be named a child in this text is to be given a place in a household where one is expected and kept. Let the name sit like a small plaque at the hearth. Receiving this belonging is an act of trust. It need not be sudden. Start with a small motion. Accept one quiet kindness. Let one small kindness be the test and the proof. The single acceptance becomes the first step on a longer road of rest. The text also paints a picture of steady work done with love. There are no grand gestures. There are kettles warmed, doors shut, chairs drawn up. These ordinary acts become holy in their repetition. They are the hands that make a house into a home. If you are weary, imagine someone in the next room doing the small things that make sleep possible, checking the latch, refilling a kettle, smoothing a pillow. Breathe with that image. Inhale for 4. Hold one soft beat. Exhale for 6. Let each out-breath release a small worry. Let each in-breath be an acceptance of the place prepared. I bring to mind one more quiet scene from the Gospel. A voice speaks of giving a peace that differs from the world's peace. This peace sits inside trouble. It does not promise a smooth road. It promises a resting heart. Think of an anchor in shallow water. The boat still rocks. The anchor holds. Peace works in this steady way. When fear feels like a wave, imagine a rope tied to a post under your hand. The rope steadies without strain. Hold it loosely. The post takes the rest. You do not have to be the anchor all the time. There is also the quiet of a shepherd's vigil. A figure walks the path slowly. Sheep sleep with heads tucked in. The watcher keeps a gentle watch. If a dream startles you awake, imagine that quiet step again. Listen in the mind for a soft footfall on wet grass. The sound itself soothes. Practices for the night arrive like small tools. Place a hand on your chest, if that comforts you. Feel the beat. Let each beat be a witness that life continues. Breathe in and imagine a thread of light moving from the palm into the chest. Breathe out and let that light settle across the shoulders and down the arms. Repeat 3 times. Each repetition lets the body go a little deeper into rest. Forgiveness has its place here too. It arrives like a folded cloth. It does not demand a public display. It wraps a bruise privately. If any old accusation sits heavy, envision placing one of those stones on the bench and leaving it there. The weight lessens when it is not carried alone. Mercy keeps the stones from the pocket of the heart. Love as commandment appears as simple hospitality. It is not a law that scores. It is a daily practice. Pass the bread. Tend the lamp. Listen. These small habits transform rooms and people. They form a quiet character. Over time, they make a life steady and warm. Now imagine a door at the end of a corridor. It stands open just a crack. Light spills out in a thin band. Step toward it in the mind. The floor is tender on the soles. The doorway reveals a small room with a made bed. The sheets are plain. The pillow holds no judgment. Lay down in slow thought. Feel how the mattress does its gentle taking of weight. If sleep does not come quickly, return to the small motions. Name one worry. Place it in the basket by the bed. Take 2 slow breaths. Count no more than 5 steps on the path of the mind. Each small step is enough. Let the rhythm be gentle. I remind you of water again. Not to repeat, but to tie threads together. A spring that wells up within you remains. When the throat tightens with longing, dip your hands into that inner water. Drink in quiet sips. The coolness soothes like a soft hand. An important truth closes the reading. You are not required to earn belonging by perfect scores. The house that invites you values presence. It keeps a lamp lit. It tends the hearth. If the mind argues that more is needed, quiet the argument with a breath. Place the voice of doubt on the edge of the room. Let the lit lamp and the warm cup answer instead. I will leave one final, short practice with you. Breathe in long. Picture the prepared room. Picture the small lamp. Picture the bench where burdens may be placed. See a name on the pillow? Let the thought of being expected warm the chest. Breathe out and allow the shoulders to sink. Repeat this 3 times. After the 3rd time, close the touch on that image. Imagine the door of the prepared room closing gently, not to lock you out, to seal the warmth in. Know that someone stays awake with a low light. Know that the bench and the basket are there if you wake again. The pages of the book come together softly in my hands. I do not slam the cover. The motion is careful. The night keeps its hush. I remain a moment, breathing with you. The final promise is small and clear mercy. Presence and hope abide. They are not flashy, they are steady. If waking occurs at some hour, return to a single image. Choose one: the lamp, the bench, the cup, or the rope. Lean on it with a breath. Use it as a fingerhold through the dark. Do not expect fireworks. Expect a steady hand. I will say nothing loud now. The last words are quiet. They fold into the room like a soft blanket. Sleep toward what steadies you. Let the slow rhythms of breath, the small rituals of laying burdens down, and the image of a prepared place carry you. Place a palm over your heart if that calms you. Feel the pulse. Breathe in. Breathe out. Name one short phrase in the mind if it helps you are kept. Say it once. Let it rest. I close with a soft benediction. Mercy watch with you. Hope keep a steady light. Love remain as a quiet house. You may enter at any hour. The promise stays. It is not a loud claim. It is a low, true fact. Now, in the hush, let go rest into the room that waits. Sleep slowly. Wake gently when morning comes. Small acts of care will be there to begin again. I leave the lamp on the table in the mind. I will come back if you wish. For now, good night.